Hello, I'm Mick Darcy. Welcome to Access All Areas, brought to you by OPSM. The Hawks, Eagles and Freo make a statement. Massive boil over on the Gold Coast. Kangaroos brought back down to earth. Pies, Blues and Bombers, some huge concerns. Damien Barrett, an unpredictable season 2012. We keep having surprises thrown at us.
Yeah, and nothing more unpredictable to us was there than the undermanned Suns team effectively ending Brett Ratton's coaching tenure. And we'll touch on that pretty big topic very shortly.
First off, let's take a look at the ladder. The top 8 are now set in stone. It's just a question of in which order they will finish. The Hawks jumped out with a big win over Sydney and take top spot, and we think they're a good chance to finish there.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, they could even lose, couldn't they, on the weekend and still retain top spot, given Sydney Swans have also got a very tough game against the Cats. But, yeah, as you say, 8 is locked in, but it's far from locked in is what the actual makeup of first week of finals will be. We've had a bit of a stab here. This is if the weekend matches go according to plan, and including that plan we're referring to, North Melbourne beats GWS by a significant margin to get out of 8th spot there back into 7. So we think that Hawthorn and Collingwood will be the Friday night game. We also remember that the Patterson Stadium is unavailable for use totally on the Saturday. There's a rugby union test match being played there, so any finals in Perth will have to be played on either Friday or Sunday.
It's an exciting looking draw if it does fall that way. Damo, you mentioned off the top Brett Ratton, the big story. Will he beat Carlton next year in your mind?
Almost certainly not now, Das. And while you can say, look, what happened on the weekend doesn't actually affect where they're going to finish in the ladder anyway. By Fremantle beating North Melbourne yesterday, Carlton couldn't have made the 8 anyway. So, look, the result in some ways has an asterisk on it, but Carlton coaches don't survive embarrassments like this, Das. They just do not. Look, Gold Coast team had more good players out of it than Carlton did on that occasion, and that scoreline there is the one that is going to be Brett Ratton's second last game as coach. He will coach this weekend, and the club this morning has said that, and they will continue their review of the entire operations beyond that point. But there's no support at all, hasn't been coming for Brett Ratton for a long time now. And Stephen Kernan today could have said, look, Brett Ratton will be allowed to honour the second year of his contract. He hasn't said that today, and he won't be saying that. And this review will see him removed and move on to, I suppose, the other topic that's been bobbing around all year, Mick Malthouse being that coach of Carlton.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to discuss that with you because you are close to Mick Malthouse. In fact, let's just have a bit of a listen right now to Mick Malthouse, who spoke on 3RW this morning.
Would it be fair to say that if you don't come back to coaching next year, you probably won't?
Yep.
It's decision time at the end of this year, end of this season.
I still say there's probably a flicker of light, but I've also understand that the game moves, and I'm not going to make a fool of myself.
You haven't sort of said to your manager, no, if anybody approaches, just tell them no. You haven't said that.
No.
Which probably means at the back of your mind somewhere there's a possibility that you would coach.
But I've always said, never say never. But it doesn't mean I'm close to it.
Key thing there, Damo, was for me, if it doesn't happen this year, it's not going to happen. In your mind, if the right money and the right set of circumstances evolves, and that means that the Carlton job's available, does Mick Malthouse coach Carlton next year?
Yep. To answer your question, the right circumstances, right money, yes and yes. Right circumstances need to be a severing of ways between Brett Ratton and Carlton. Mick is not going to be buying in publicly in any way, shape or form until that is done as an absolute starting point. And knowing him, and look, even that answer there with Neil Mitchell, it was typical Mick, wasn't it? It said a lot, didn't say anything. But we know what is going to unfold now, don't we? And the money that we're referring to here, it's going to be at least 7 figures, at least $1 million per year for whatever that tenure is. On top of that, it could be 1.2 million, but on top of that, he's going to want, or he does want, his own staff. He's going to want 3 people. Now, he might consider Gavin Brown, who's already there, to be one of those 3 people that he will want. So at least 2 more senior assistant coaches to come into the mix. And then, of course, you then need to sever Brett Ratton, and that's a contract that's worth more than $550,000. And on top of that, remove some of the assistant staff that he's got. And then you've got to look at the high performance area, which Mick will certainly want to have a say in. We're talking multi-millions of dollars just to get this exercise done.
Is he going to have his old centre forward back as well, Damo, Travis Cloke? He's been linked to every club in the competition because he is a restricted free agent. You, quite a few weeks ago, have suggested that Carlton are in the market for him. Is that still the case in your mind?
No doubt, Das. I mean, the Fremantle offer, we believe, is the most significant one in terms of what's on the table. But Carlton just has not ruled this out, and it certainly is still being talked about in a pretty strong way. This will be a free agency set up here, and it'll be up to Travis to choose whichever club he wants to go to.
Without wanting to wander into your territory, Damo, because this is what you do better than anyone else, but my belief, in fact, my understanding is that the most likely option is that Travis Cloke will leave and go to Carlton.
The most likely option?
The most likely, and you look at the language that's being spoken around Collingwood at the moment, they've gone and signed every other player because they've had to move on and do that, so there's no more money available for Travis Cloke. Closed shop on the 5th year, which is the clincher for Travis. The father and manager David came out and said, we want negotiation on that. That is not going to happen. My understanding is that not only can Carlton find the money salary cap wise, they're prepared to do it. They're prepared to offer the 5 years. He doesn't want to go and move to the West, to go to a marquee club that is a massive chance to be successful. As unlikely as it sounds at the start of the year, we're talking about a scenario where you could see Travis Cloke to go to Carlton, Mick Malthouse coaching him again. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but my belief is that if you're saying Mick Malthouse has a chance to be there, I'm saying Travis Cloke is as good a chance to be there.
And the 5th year is the clincher there. So you've heard that
5th year
is on the table.
The money and the dollars, so looking at that as an opportunity. Once in a lifetime to get a 5-year deal at $1 million, our understanding is that Carlton are a chance to absolutely put that on the table.
Well, if that is the case, and I'm not at all doubting what you're saying there, they would need to have their salary cap looked at very closely, I would have thought, by the AFL. Chris Judd is in the 6th year next year. Of the 6-year deal he signed to leave West Coast and go to Carlton, he's on about that $1 million figure as well. So if you're saying two players on $1 million each under a salary cap of around about $9 million, that's something that is going to require a lot of juggling.
It'll be a big statement, Damo, but we'll see if it unfolds that way. We asked the Blues fans on our Twitter, at AFL_AAA, is Brett Ratton your coach of Carlton next year? Trout jumped straight on the tweet and he said Rats would be the only coach that was 5th on the ladder and the members wanted him sacked. Grow up, referring to the fact that even when they were going well, the Carlton fans seem to have had a bit of a set against Brett Ratton. While Reese had this to say, hell no, Roos or Malthouse. I'd even prefer Matty Primus, is Reese's thoughts on that one.
Well, Primus is not going to be there, does he?
Probably not going to happen. Let's take a look at the game, Damo, because I heard a lot in the weekend about the fact that the numbers, stats-wise for Carlton, it should have been a fait accompli they win. We've compared it to the Saints and Giants, and they're pretty similar numbers. More disposals, more inside 50s, massively more inside 50s tackles, contested possessions. Saints beat the Giants by 128 points, and yet the Blues lose by a couple of goals.
Well, you tell me how that happens, Stars, because you're right. I mean, those figures there are very comparable.
Well, they kicked 6-10 from set shots. Their two forwards, I think, had 1-9 in front of goal. They just absolutely butchered it by a foot. Then the pressure comes on you in a game that you're trying to get a percentage boost out of, and suddenly you get under pressure, and that is a car crash situation. In fact, Brett Ratton himself described as a train wreck.
And the only stat that does matter, Das, is the scoreboard, let's face it.
To our OPSM poll question for this week, head to our AFL Facebook page to register your vote on who has been more disappointing in 2012, Essendon or Carlton. We'll have the result of the poll with Damo on Friday's Access All Areas.
Das, Collingwood. Can they win the premiership right now? They sit 5th. They could stay 5th after the weekend. They'll probably get back to 4th. But can they win the premiership regardless of where they finish?
On what I saw in the flesh Saturday night over in Perth, absolutely not. And the main issue surrounds their two key forwards, Damo, who are now horribly out of form. It's been an ongoing issue for them. But, I mean, we've just spoken about Travis Cloke and where his head's at. I mean, dropping chest marks, body language shot to pieces, and poor Chris Dawes, who works and tries. In fact, they both battle hard. You can't turn form around in round 23 going to the finals. It's a massive issue for them. I can't see them featuring in a grand final where they're at the moment.
You've been saying this for a while, that something wasn't gelling. I think even maybe before other people picked up on it. What should have happened now? And this is not a hindsight with you. You were onto it early on. Should they have dropped one of the two? Should they have made a statement along that way? Should they have got a game or game plan B? Because right now, as you say, round 22 going to 23, you can't do anything now. You've got to work with what you've got.
Look, hindsight's always 20/20, and I can understand they both workhorses who cover the ground. Their GPS numbers, the way they've gone about it has been, you haven't questioned their training, you haven't questioned their commitment to it, but sometimes when you're out of form, the only way to get it back is actually to have a spell in the VFL. Now, that option is virtually closed. You go into round 23 and you're just hoping by some sort of miracle that it comes back. Do they try on the weekend?
You don't get it back.
It doesn't happen. No. And they tried on the weekend actually to push them up and go the small forward line. They had Swan and Thomas and Beams all rolling through full forward, just didn't work against the good side.
So premiership, no chance.
I can't see them winning a premiership with their two gun forwards in horrific form. can't kick goals. At the moment, over the last month, their average score is comparable with the Giants. That's how their forward line structure is going at the moment. Hey, let's head back to our Twitter, Damo. We asked what should Collingwood do with its forward line, especially Chris Dawes and Travis Cloke. Well, Marcus, he says, drop one back to the VFL, probably Dawes. Give Cloke more space to work in. Doors out, Cracker in, simple, #pies too tall.
Well, do you roll the dice on that? Do you play Cracker first up?
The only issue is there is no VFL option because Collingwood's VFL team don't make the final. That's the reason why Cracker has got back in and played. He had 27 disposals in a weekend. I reckon it's got to the stage where they've got to take a risk.
So drop Doors, play Cracker?
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's not a bad option. I think current situation's not working. Maybe throw it out and just go the surprise element.
Yep.
Paul also on the Twitter says drop them both and play a small forward line. So it's look, it sounds brutal, but it's at the stage now. If you want to compete in a final, they need to throw something different at the table.
But as you said at the time, they probably should have done it around 17, 18, not 22.
Hindsight 2020, but as it sits here now, perhaps it is the time. Now, Kevin Sheedy also was pretty vocal on the weekend. Damo had a fair bit to say about Paul Roos. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, Roos is not a great advocate for West Sydney. It's a well commented by Paul that he thinks the Swans should only be the only team of the AFL in Sydney. So that will calculate him out of any position, I would have thought, at the Giants. If you don't believe spiritually and in your heart and soul that the Giants shouldn't be in Sydney, how could you ever go and coach them? Now, if you think I'm hard-nosed on it, I'm ruthless on it, and understand that. You've got to love the game to develop the game for where we're going with this now.
Hey, Damo, that's a pretty emotive Kevin Sheedy. Why is he so attached to that discussion around Paul Roos?
It's interesting, isn't it? There's a bit of venom there, isn't there? It's not just a statement of what Kevin Sheedy believes to be fact. There's some almost nastiness around that. And it does go back. He's always had little niggles at Paul Roos, even when they were both coaching in former guises, him at Essendon and Roos at Sydney. And he calls him the Sundance Kid regularly. That on the weekend, though, that's taken it to a new level. I'm keen to get Paul Roos's view on that.
Is it because he's been so outspoken, as I said, against the AFL and their expansion policy? Dave Matthews, formerly the executive of the AFL and now the CEO of the Giants, also had this to say on 3RW Melbourne Radio.
He lives in Sydney. He's been a successful coach, and I think because people are often questioning what our succession plan to Kevin Sheedy will be, they naturally link Paul to that job like they do to every other job in the competition. I honestly think Paul Roos would be 1,000,000 to 1 to coach the Giants. Partly because I think he is on record as saying he's not ready to coach again, but also because, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying this, he's on record as probably questioning the overall strategy the AFL has with the Giants.
Dave Matthews there, 1,000,000 to 1, his assessment of Paul Roos coaching GWS. That's not what GWS was saying a month ago about this task. They were identifying him and had identified him as the sole person they wanted to go and get.
What's changed?
I want to hear what Paul Roos has to say about this on the couch tonight. GWS wants, and this is their internal workings on this, an iconic figure to replace an iconic figure at GWS. Sheedy's the iconic figure they've got. Roos was the one they identified. Something's happened.
Stay tuned. Look forward to hearing Paul Roos's reply on all that discussion. Right now, time for a look at our OPSN Fan Faceoff Competition.
OPSM is giving you and a friend the chance to win the ultimate 2012 Toyota AFL Grand Final experience with the OPSM Fan Face-Off. Download the OPSM app and share your fan face to win.
And the winner is Izzy Schiff from Sydney, who is a massive Swans fan. Well done, Izzy. You've won the ultimate 2012 Toyota AFL Grand Final experience. It's a great prize there. Nice work. Hey, Damo, try and steer away from umpiring decisions as often as we can, but every now and then one comes across our desk that we just have to go. Now, take a look at Adam McPhee there, who launches himself head first at Lindsay Thomas, knocks himself out. Bizarrely, the umpires paid the free kick against Lindsay Thomas for head-eye contact. Now, it has to be a mistake, but what I don't like about it is it's actually encouraging players to kamikaze style throw themselves in it, which is a really dangerous situation.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many times Lindsay Thomas can find himself in a sliding / someone going at their legs incident this season. It's just clearly a wrong decision, Dars. And if anyone wants to say that's the right decision, well, we need to rethink the way footy's played. Other issue here, look how groggy he was at the end of the game. Given that the AFL is yet to tell North Melbourne what happened in its investigation into Lockie Hansen playing maybe concussed, they need to look at that too, as they do with what happened to Kepler Bradley for the Dockers yesterday. Both McPhee, Bradley, played after initially getting heavy knocks. They need to look at it. They always do.
Damo, you know I'm a fan of a bit of friendly on-field banter.
I love it.
And there was a little bit from the Giants and Lee Montagna involved here with Toby Green as a young star. Now this is all good fun. Getting inside his head and saying, mate, any chance that I can get the footy, because Toby Green virtually owned the foot. You know what I love? They're hard little angry men, the Giants midfielders, Damo.
Surprise, you love that, Dave.
I enjoy it, and I think they're hand-picked. I reckon that's Kevin Sheedy and Mark Williams, the sort of players that they will love, and good to see them getting involved. But you've got to keep a bit of banter in the game, Damo. I don't want sledging totally taken out. We're going to take a break, Damo. Next up, Dr. Peter Larkins to get an update on the big injury news from the weekend. But now it is time for Did You See That?
Round 22, when we all saw the man they called Zorko kick this.
Zorko! Zorko! Zorko!
And McGuan clinging onto this.
McGuan over the top, juggles the mark.
There were some clips you may not have seen. Buick tries.
Rowan Buick, I'll just do that, and oh, there we go.
LRT flies.
Brought that right on the face.
Push there.
And iced thighs.
Got a couple of little niggling injuries to worry about.
The top clips you missed from a week of ball flinging fun. This is Did You See That?
Did you see that?
Clip 1. In a game filled with Richmond highlights, did you see Montfree sneak this one through for Essendon?
That's the killer in the schoolyard, that one, when you got it straight through your legs.
Clip 2. At 201 centimetres, Nick Natanui is a force to be reckoned with.
Look at that. But don't argue. Get out of the way, little man.
Clip 3. As a GWS recruit, this is home.
Honey, I'm home.
A place where the best of teammates become the best of housemates.
That reminds me, I'm just been cooking for you.
Oh, really? Oh,
Watching, they're pretty hot though.
oh yeah.
How's your day, man?
Oh, yeah, busy.
Busy?
Yeah, busy.
Just like me, I've been busy cooking all day.
Watch next week for a live eviction. Clip 4. West Coast would be thrilled if they got a home final, while everyone else will be terrified.
70 metres out. Launches a lob! Wow! Wait, did you see that?
Clip 5. St Kilda dominated utterly over GWS. Players like Stanley taking on 2 defenders at once.
Stanley ripped it in. He kept his eye on the footy and marks in the square.
Clip 6. Shane Warne may no longer have the belly, but did you see that he still has the guts to wear these shorts in front of Liz?
Well, he's got Betsy's shorts. That's for sure.
For your chance to win a pair of Oakley sunglasses valued at $159.95, go to www.afl.com.au/Did You See That and vote for your favourite Did You See That moment.